What's going on, everyone? I'm Novaghoul. Before the video begins, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in. I'm going to be uploading 2 or 3 videos every week, so if you want to hear more scary stories, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and comment down below. Let's get started. I was reminded of him just last week. After almost 5 years of not hearing from him, I saw him again. I will try my best to summarize this nightmare. Some things to note which are important to the story. 1. It happened in 2017, and during that time we went a whole year without having neighbors on either side. So basically, we're cramped between 2 empty houses. 2. The streetlight in our lot had broken, and despite multiple reports to the council to fix it, nobody did. One evening, my family went out for groceries. I was left home alone. The gate was still wide open when they left, because the water pipe was located outside. I used it all the time because back then I had rabbits, so I used it to fill their water bowls. That day was no different. The sun was already setting by the time I went out to fill the bowls, feed the rabbits, and then lock the gate. It was literally 5 minutes after I locked the gate that someone was outside. Since the sun was already low on the horizon, and with the streetlight broken, I can barely see his face. He was outside with a van, shouting for my attention. He said something about his company sending him over to do some property surveillance. It was suspicious, alright, so I ignored him and went inside. Later on, when the night got dark, my family still hadn't returned. I was inside watching Chicken Little when I heard some commotion outside. I didn't directly look at it, but I stole some glances and saw someone outside, like literally in front of my gate. He was shouting for my attention again, and guess who it was? Yep, the guy from before. I recognized his voice and again paid him no attention. After a seemingly long few minutes, it got quiet outside. I took another peek out, and holy shit, he was attempting to climb into my house. I was so shocked that I couldn't move. But luckily, that time we had a dog named Buck, who passed away not long after, bless his soul. He was probably napping in one of his hiding spots and sensed some presence. As soon as the guy saw Buck coming at him, he stopped climbing and rode away on his bike. No more van. That was that. But ever since then, I kept seeing him still. How do I know it was him when I can't even see his face in the first place? Well, because after that particular incident, every now and then there was always someone hanging literally outside our gate with his bike. He was always making this weird sound too, like when you purse and smack your lips. And every time I reported it to my dad, the guy would always ride away as soon as he saw my dad checking. One time I was at the backyard collecting my laundry. If you stand on the left side of my gate, but facing in, you can see the area in our backyard where we wash and dry our laundry. He was standing right there, making those weird sounds again, which drew my attention. I yelled for my dad, and once he saw my dad, he booked it out of there. This has been going on for almost a month. While he hadn't actually posed any threat, it was enough for me to feel uncomfortable and unsafe to even want to go out at night by myself. Oh, but it got worse. My room is on the outer side of the house, so I basically have a window that faces the front of the house. But my room is situated on the right side of the house if you're looking at my house. So my direct view is the overgrown bushes covering the fence. If I peek my head out the window and look to the right, I can clearly see the gate. One night, I was in my room doing some work on my desk. The window was to my left, and I left it open as I've always liked the night breeze. I don't remember how long I was working for, but then all of a sudden, I felt this dread wash over me. It's like I wasn't safe in the comfort of my room anymore, like I was being watched. I looked out the window and tried to see in the dark, and there he was. I knew it was him. Somehow, he managed to squeeze in between the bushes and was hanging onto the fence. He saw me. I can feel him smiling at me, and then he made those awful lip-smacking sounds again. Nope, I booked TF out of there like a lightning bolt. Again, I reported it to my dad, and again he rode out of there before anybody could see or catch him. Sometimes my dad and sister thought I was imagining stuff, because when they kept their eyes outside, they saw nothing, but I was the one who saw him every time. But I know for a fact that it's real. He's real, and it's the same person every time. This continued on for another month, so 2 months in total. He'd come and taunt me with his lip-smacking skill and rode away before my dad or sister can get a good look at him. And then one day, he stopped coming, and I haven't seen or heard his stupid lip-smacking sounds anymore. That is until last week. I was home alone again. My sister was caught up at work. My dad left to pick up my brother from his workplace. I was in the living room watching the TV when I heard that awful, familiar, lip-smacking sound. At this point, our street light is still broken. We've installed some fence lights, but this bastard hid in the dark where the light was too faint to reach. He was out there with his bike again, only this time I heard him giggle. I've never heard him giggling before, and no, this isn't the cute kind of giggle. It sounded malicious. I tried my hardest to ignore him, to not pay any attention, but he was still out there making all kinds of noises. Over a year ago, we got a new dog, Gibbs. He was a rescued stray. He must have heard him too. As soon as the guy saw Gibbs coming at him, he rode away. Again. That was last week. 5 years ago, he terrified me to the point where I was so afraid of being outside on my own at night, even if it were to just pick up laundry. Sometimes at night, I can't even sleep without checking every corner of the house, just to make sure he's not there. And for a short period, I slept with the lights on. And even though he didn't exactly do anything physically threatening, him playing psycho tricks over a long period on me is enough to make me feel unsafe, even in my own house. Just when he was finally out of my head, he came back. I've never seen his face, but I think he's seen mine. I hope I won't ever have to see his face. His presence alone is malicious as it is. Stalker from the dark. Let's not meet, ever. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and have a wonderful day.